What is up everybody? Let us kick off another exciting video. This time we are going to avoid the Slack notification messages and we're going to talk about prototyping and why prototyping is very important. What is prototyping? Now, in biblical times, no, I'm kidding. So prototyping is more so a concept of coming up with some basic wireframes that help you express your product in a way that is tangible and also usable by your customer. So that doesn't mean you need to have all the bells and whistles. Sometimes it can just be a wireframe. Those square boxes, you can get a piece of tissue, a piece of paper, and use that to draw out what you want your app to look like. You don't need to be a designer, trust me, I'm not a designer, but you just give it a basic vibe of what you want your app to look like and use that tool to then go ahead and convert it into a vision. Now, Slack is a horrible product because their prototype does not let me turn off my notifications, so I'm sorry for that. Now, including that second piece, so there's heaps of ways you can run through your prototype and what you can do to build your prototype. So this time, just the next set of the videos that we're going to talk about, which is the next 5 to 10 minutes, we will be talking about all the tools that you can use to help you become a better prototyper, even if you are not a designer. Because trust me, I am not a designer, but we built a lot of prototypes that have gone on to do a lot of revenue. So let's kick that off right now. So without overwhelming you with a crap ton of tools to use, which is why you can just use Google for that. The ones I generally like using is Balsamiq, so Balsamiq, as well as Proto.io. They're great tools that you can use to simply drag and drop things and build very detailed prototypes. No, the process of prototyping essentially comes through the second phase of developing your entire product, and that comes before actually building your application itself. So the first phase is after you've collected all the problems that we just spoke about in the previous video. If you haven't, check it out. Once you find out the problems that people face and you work out the issues that you're trying to solve for, the second thing you need to do is simply work out the general flow a customer is going to experience in your product. Again, I'm continuously repeating this. You do not need to be a designer. If you've used apps before, if you are not living under a rock, if you are, it's fine. But if you have an internet connection and a mobile phone, you have experienced apps before. So therefore, you know what a general flow you yourself have experienced. Don't use Facebook as an example because it's a very complex application. Look at the tons of other apps that you use, from your travel application to your booking application. They all have a user flow. Now that means when they walk you and guide you as a customer from step A until the step that they resolve or take money or give some data out of you, right? Reflect on that flow. And then all you have to do is also create a prototype that summarizes something simple that you want your customers to experience. Let's talk about the event book, the line queue booking application, where you want to build an app where you want to help people go ahead and skip lines in queues by simply booking a standard liner person and pay them $5 as soon as their time comes to go back in queue. Now, the flow that I would generally go with before I even go beyond validating my idea is simply say, okay, what do I want out of the customer? Their phone number, maybe their first name, because I want to message them when time comes. Sweet. So my login process is just asking them for their phone number and their first name. Great. Minimum friction. The customer is already into my product. Second thing I need to do is ask for a location, obviously, because they're standing in a line, and maybe a photo of yours so that a person can identify you. Sweet. You've done that. You've given that information. The last thing is ask for your credit card details. Put that in. Least friction point. Click find me a waiter, and then the waiter person just comes and says, I'm here, I've notified, I've seen that this is your face, let's go ahead and actually switch spots. They've done that. They have your phone number, so when time comes for you to come and get notified, they can send you a message saying, hey, you're almost time, come and stand in line. Sweet. You go and sign it. See, simple process, right? 3-page process. That's all you need to worry about, and then a text message to go through. And that's your prototype. That's all you have to do. So the prototype process is just exploring what your customer is going to face as a problem and how you're going to solve it for them, and the minimal amount of steps required for you to attain that end solution. In our case, the end solution was to find someone who we said a stepper or stander, whatever it is, and the other step is to go ahead and notify me. Now, a way I could have done this is actually set up my in-app notification system. I don't want to go that crazy. Send me a text message. Texts are free anyway. So that is as simple as it can be. Before we jump into everything, so the hot step number 3 is what you need to actually step into and what you actually need to build before building your full product. Again, falls under the previous point we spoke about. That is actually having some sort of a clickable visual product that you can actually give to other people to test your app. And Proto.io does a great job, because the beautiful part about Proto.io is all drag and drop. Everything is sort of pre-built for you. You don't need to be a designer. You just don't need to be dumb. I'm kidding. You can be dumb. A lot of dumb people run smart companies nowadays. It's not a gauge of success anyway. Another topic. But anyway, all you need to do is just simply drag and drop your components and points into the product, and then simply create a flow, a clickable flow. And Proto.io is such a great product that actually at the end of it, you can help people download the app, so they can actually download a full-on clickable application and help them go through the experience that you want them to go through. As simple as that is, without even writing a single line of code and maybe paying $20 a month for a subscription fee. Point number 4 is an exciting one, so don't leave anywhere. Before we go into point number 4, make sure you click on that like and subscribe button. I know I keep asking for it, but it only helps the algorithm and it helps everyone stay happy. Otherwise, Santa's not gonna give you your gifts. If you are gifted like me, you are not gifted in design. So we are deprived of that skill and talent. So what do we do as people who are not gifted in design but understand user experience and product? Okay, there's heaps of places. There's freelancers, there's Upwork, there's forums, there's groups. Before I go to Upwork.com or if I go to freelancer.com, what I generally do is I go to a bunch of startup Facebook groups, and there's tons of them all across the world. You just need to type in, like, we're in Sydney, so we have a thing called Sydney Startups. If you're in some place in America, I'm pretty sure there's a startup there. If you're in India, you can type in Hyderabad startups or Bombay startups. If you're in Philippines, you can type in, you get the point, right? But all you need to do is just do a little proactive search. The reason why I say this is because when you put in a point on a group, you end up getting raw recommendations from people in the society who have actually had perfect experience with someone, good or bad, right? Versus a review that is on a website that you have no experience with. So the first thing you do is you get in touch with that person. You need to ask them if they've done something similar to what you have done or want to do right now. Okay, that is important. And you need to make sure that their North Star process is verified to your North Star process. What I mean by that is, don't just get a designer who can draw pretty pixels. You can get anyone to do that. You need to get a unicorn, not a startup, not the horse. But you need to go, if you have the horse, just on a separate note, let me know, because we can make a lot of money. But on that note, you need to get a unicorn. A unicorn is someone who is a designer and a marketer, a designer, a developer, a designer, and a content writer, right? Someone who has 2 skills put together. The predominant skill is design, but they have an underlying skill set that also adds value to that. The reason why I say that is because they will help you actually build beyond a product that is just pretty, but actually has strategy in helping you achieve that goal. My goal with the Q app is to help people book as quick as they can. So the entire design and prototype should be built around that. Again, not just pretty pixels. Go on Facebook groups first, go on meetup groups to find someone, and make sure you ask them if they've got any complementary skills, not just design skills. And then if that doesn't work, go to Upwork and Freelancer. And even then, look for people who have complementary skills. When we built out Ladder with our prototype process, it was like a full-blown process. We were just going for everything, right? But with Scenario, like I said, we went through a methodic cycle of making sure we knew our end goal, and we wanted to find out the easiest way to get to that end goal. So the entire prototype process was based on outcome, right? It was not based on just build. It was based on outcome. What was the quickest way for us to get to an outcome that we want to achieve? And that outcome was to just get people to get onto a product initially. Now, this outcome, you need to realize, will change as time goes. The initial outcome would be acquisition. The second outcome might be for retention. And the third outcome might be maybe for growth or minimizing churn. So just make sure that your outcome is defined and is very solid with your design team. So with Scenario, what we ended up doing was we minimized, stripped out all these features that were so painful to do, but we removed all the features that didn't matter and only kept in the core features that mattered to us and built a product around that. And that process just comes from learning. You need to understand in the discovery cycle, in your customer personas, in the problems they're facing, nail down to the 1 or 2 things that people are facing problems with, and then build your prototype around that and make it easy for people to get that solution out of your product. That's how you do it. All right, the last part, or almost the last part, because we've got point number 7 coming up as well. This point, we're going to talk about testing your actual prototype. It's not just great about building. Everything is about putting it in front of your customers. Everything as quick as possible, as fast as possible, is getting it to the hands of people who will tell you if they want to use this and pay you money for it or not. Usertesting.com is a fantastic product where you can actually give it out to a marketplace of people to test your product and tell you if they actually like what you built for them. Other things you can do is actually reach out to those initial audience of customers who gave you feedback and of the problems they face, and ask them if this is a solution that they're looking for. Other places is also, again, Facebook groups, Reddit groups. Again, be careful with the people you're validating your idea with. It's people who actually fit your customer persona, right? And make sure this is the time where you need to really stop being very sensitive about your idea being unique. Trust me, it's not. Nothing under the sun is unique, and it's been done in its own way. Execution is unique, but the idea is definitely not unique, in my personal opinion. So what you need to do is reach out to people, really be vocal about what you're doing, and ask people, have an agenda behind the feedback that you're trying to collect. Don't just tell them, give me feedback about this. You need to tell them, does this help you easily sign up to the application? Does this encourage you to press this button? Does this encourage you to actually pay us money? You need to have an agenda and an outcome. So that agenda matches your outcome, then you know your prototype is in a good direction. Magic point number 7. After we've gone through all these points, and this is a fun one. When you do user research testing and you've actually got people coming into your office, if you're lucky enough to get people to come into your place or your home or just catch up over coffee and give you feedback, do not interrupt the person. Let them struggle, because if they're struggling, it means you've done a bad job at your prototype, right? So make sure you are not talking to them at all and they are the ones telling. You are just sitting and saying, It's the first time. If you're a loudmouth, do not be a loudmouth. It does not help at any point in time. So just listen to what they're saying, listen to their points, listen to feedback, and take notes down. And again, observe, be a silent observer and see how people are using the application. Some really cool products that you can use to record user feedback sessions that I generally like is Fullstory or Hotjar, where you can see where people are generally clicking and where they're struggling to actually find a relatable outcome that you want them to achieve. So make sure you're using these tools, any tools that sort of let you record sessions, and make sure you are not interrupting your customer when they're providing you feedback. And that, my friends, is the magic story of how you can do user prototyping. And we've gone through some 7 magical points. To recap what we just went over, we learned what prototyping is, we went through the process, we went through the tools you can use, and we went through what you actually try to achieve when you build a user process feedback session. Hope this video was useful for you. The next one is just going to be just as spicy as this one. And for you to prevent spice getting to your stomach, make sure you click on the like and subscribe button, because Christmas is very nearby and Santa Claus is watching. And Santa and me are very, very good friends. Sweet. Thank you, and speak to you very soon.